Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where Karens are absolutely convinced that everyone is put on Earth to serve them. And in this episode, guys, Karens are getting embarrassed left and right, and one rude Karen gets tricked by OP, and she ends up getting arrested. The stories are hilarious, so I hope you enjoy them, guys, and as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. This was when I used to work for a soda company, the big blue one, as a vendor. A vendor is someone who goes into stores and delivers or stocks or sells certain products from their company. Lots of companies have vendors, and lots of products in the food side of the store are vendor-owned. Anyway, most people do understand that I don't work here after I explain it to them. But not all. I was doing my job one day as usual when a rude Karen comes up to me. After explaining that I don't work for the store, the woman gets bitchy, impatient, and rude. She wanted a case of Pepsi, but she didn't know the price of it, or if the store had the 2 for XYZ promotion. Neither did I, as stores usually have their own promos. I told the woman I just stock products, sorry. Now keep in mind that a case of Pepsi isn't that expensive anyway, and if she didn't want it, she could leave it at the cashier. Better yet, she could have checked the price on the self-scanner. But no, the woman expected me to have everything memorized and a gun with access to the store's inventory. The aisle is pretty close to the front checkout, and some people overheard, including the cashiers. The lady eventually stormed off and said, "Effing amazing. I'll have you know that as long as I live, I'll never buy Pepsi again. Screw you, and screw your damn company." The woman directed this towards me as if it affects me or something, as if her boycott cancels out the billions of other people who drink Pepsi. Anyways, on my way out, I noticed that she picked up like 6 cases of Brisk iced tea at the end of the aisle. Now, Brisk is a Pepsi product. I was laughing in my head. As she finished cashing out, I was walking back to the truck with my dolly. Before I left, I said to her, "By the way, ma'am, Brisk is a Pepsi product, so thanks for supporting us." I said that with a smile and walked out. I heard one cashier let out a laugh, and angry Karen went straight to her car, slammed the trunk shut after loading groceries, and sped off. But not before giving me the finger and a friendly F you. Guys, I just love how OP had to get the last jab at Karen by telling her Brisk is a Pepsi product. I just wish I was there. I would be cackling, guys. So back in the day, I worked for this armored car company. We serviced a lot of big box retail stores. On this day, I was on my usual route, and this was the beginning of holiday shopping season, so all the stores on my route were packed. I go in the front. Customer service manager waves and radios his manager that I'm here. It's a normal stop for me, and I know where to go. On one side of the store was the office, and on that particular day, I was both making a cash drop and pulling cash to take back. So I'm standing outside the office waiting for the store manager to make her way over. So while I'm waiting, I pull out my scanner and start entering info and the like. Not 30 seconds in, I hear an irritated, "Excuse me." Now for reference, I'm in a store where the employees wear red. I'm in mostly black, as in black boots, a black polo, even still wearing my aviator sunglasses, and a very obvious police-style duty belt with a large holster that visibly contains a firearm, holding a sealed black bag with the company's name on it. I look up, and it's a middle-aged woman, and I kid you not, she has the typical "I want to speak to the manager" haircut. I'll call her Karen the Suburban Mom from here on out. Also, this is the shorthand version, as this was a few years ago. So I look up from my scanner and say, "Yes?" Karen says, "So the ad said that you had this toy on sale today, but I can't find any. Can you check for me?" At that I respond, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't help you. I don't work here. There must be an employee here somewhere." The Karen, visibly irate, says, "What do you mean you can't help me? I shop here all the time, and you can't be bothered to check for a toy for me? Why do you even have that thing then?" Gesturing to my scanner. I say to her, "Ma'am, I need you to calm down. The scanner I'm holding can't help you." And that's when the woman loses it. She says, "Fine, I'll do it myself then." She then proceeds to try to grab my scanner, and the second she makes her grab, I drop the bag in my right hand, take a half step back, and grab my pistol. I half draw my pistol, the end of the barrel still inside the holster, and I put on my old army voice and scream, "Back up, right now." That's when the woman very quickly realizes that this has gone from 0 to 100 very, very fast. She takes a few steps back, right as the manager appears. And the manager says, "Okay, what's happening?" That's when Karen points at me and says, "He won't help me, and now he's threatening me. This idiot's carrying a gun. I'm calling the police. Why are employees carrying guns at Target?" That's when I slide my pistol back in the holster and locked it. The manager says, "Ma'am, he doesn't work here. He's a guard for the armored car service." The manager then turns to me and asks, "What happened?" I say to him, I told her I couldn't help her and she tried to take my scanner while I'm in possession of cash and she attempted to assault me. I'm well within rules of engagement. The manager then says to Karen, "Ma'am, I can call the police if you'd like, but he does not work for us. Also, if you'd like, I can get an employee to help you." It then dawns on this woman what she's done, and that's when she says, yes, an employee would be helpful, and I'm sorry. I say to her, "No harm, no foul, ma'am. Everything else is uneventful, but man, that was an intense 12 seconds. I'll agree, was that ever?" And I really hope that woman learned her lesson to not grab things from others. But seriously, some people really need to be more aware, like how that Karen did not see that OP looked nothing like a Target worker is beyond me. This actually happened about a week ago when I was in Texas for a wedding. I was helping the bride and groom set things up for the wedding, so my friend and I decided to split a hotel room for a couple of days. One afternoon, we ran out of things to do and nothing good was on TV. I lacked the foresight to bring things with me to do, so I bit the bullet and headed over to Best Buy to buy a Chromecast. Now at the same time, I was also trying on clothes that I was going to wear at the wedding. I wasn't wearing a full-on tux and bow tie when I left for Best Buy, but I did have on a nice dress shirt, black pants, and dress shoes. And this apparently must have given me a managerial look, which is why the following events ensued. When I arrived at Best Buy, I asked a worker where they kept the Chromecast, and I picked one up. Before heading to checkout, I went to the laptop section just to play around with the fancy new laptops. And that's when a woman with a box of expensive headphones in her hands and a "Can I speak to your manager" haircut stares at me. She then clears her throat a couple of times. Now at the moment, it doesn't dawn on me that she thinks I work here, so I look at her annoyed and asked, "Can I help you?" The woman says, "Yes, it's about damn time. I need you to ring me up." Now, thinking back on it, I don't understand why she didn't go to the checkout. So I just look at her and say, "I don't work here." Hearing that, the woman gets a look like I just insulted her entire life. And then to my shock, she literally starts yelling at me saying, "Sir, do you realize how unprofessional you're being? I'm gonna report you to corporate if you don't help me. That's no way for a manager to act towards paying customers." Now at this point I'm seeing red, thinking, who the F are you, lady? Get out of my business. I was about to tell her to F off and leave, but that's when I hatched a plan in my mind, just at the perfect moment. I say to the woman, "I do apologize, ma'am. Really, indeed, I do work here. I realize what I did was extremely wrong and unprofessional, and if I can get your word that you will not call corporate, you can have those headphones that you're holding completely free of charge." At that, Karen literally sneers at me and says, "It's about damn time. You people are all the same, only willing to help when it's your ass on the line. Ridiculous." The woman agrees to not complain. I then tell her that I'm gonna call up loss prevention and tell them to let her walk out the door with the headphones. Now at this point, her BS alarm should have gone off, but she clearly wasn't sound of mind. Anyway, I take out my phone, call up a fake Bill, and tell him to greenlight a woman with a box of Bose headphones, and that it's a code B53 customer complaint. Now I don't know why I said that, I just wanted to throw in some jargon to make it look legit, which clearly must have worked. So with that, I hang up and tell her to have a wonderful day, and the lady huffs at me before leaving. At this point, I realize that what I'm doing is probably extremely illegal. So I went to a spot in the back where I could observe the ensuing crap storm without being called out by her. The woman walks to the exit, and when she tries to leave, the alarm goes off. I can then see an employee talking to her, and that's when she gets mad. She starts screaming at him that the manager allowed her to take this, and since he did, she's leaving with this product for free. She then continues to leave the store while yelling at the employees. Before she can fully leave though, she's grabbed by another employee who I can only assume was loss prevention. 2 employees then escort her to the back while she's kicking and screaming that she's being illegally detained. Everyone's just staring and it's an absolute crap show. I can also hear employees screaming to call the police as this woman was putting up a fight. At this point, I realized that it's best I just leave, so I put the Chromecast back on the shelf and casually walked out with my head down. I then ran back to my car and drove back to the hotel empty-handed. I told my friend what happened and he laughed, and then went out and came back with the Chromecast. Now I do feel bad for the woman. I didn't know that employees would, or even legally could, grab her like that and drag her off. But at the same time, she deserves it for being like that. Guys, this is next level what OP did. And some people might even say that that's crossing the line, even if it's a Karen he was dealing with. But honestly, I just want to say that OP might have told her she could leave with a free set of headphones, but she definitely didn't have to escalate it to the point where she lost her mind and started kicking and screaming at people. And really, just a simple, "Oh, I might have been tricked. I'm so sorry. Here, let me pay for the headphones," would have done. She wouldn't have gone to jail for that. So here's some brief backstory. I'm currently very sick, and I have a lot of scars on my left arm. So I came down with a pretty nasty cold, but I still needed to go grocery shopping. Since it was pretty warm and I was running hot anyway, I took off my jacket. I was trotting through the canned goods aisle looking for soup, when a nice old lady approached me. The lady says to me, "Oh, excuse me, would you mind getting me this item from the top?" I say to her, "Sure," and I just grab the thing she wanted and put it inside her cart and say, "Do you need anything else?" It's at this point I start coughing violently and very painfully. The nice old lady says, "Oh dear, that sounds bad. I'm sorry for bothering you. I hope you get better fast. Thank you very much." We then part ways, and that's when I kneel down to look at some soups and notice that someone steps right next to me. I looked up, and next to me stood a boy who's probably 6 or 8 years old. I'm bad at guessing ages. The kid, pointing at the scars on my arm, say, "Did you fight a bear?" The kid says it very excited, and me, laughing and deciding to play along, say, "The biggest one you'll ever see." The kid says, "Wow, that's so cool." Before I could say anything else, I heard someone in heels coming towards us. So I grabbed my soup and put it in my cart, and that's when Karen says, "Finally! I've been looking for someone to help me for so long now. What kind of customer service is this?" The woman is standing in front of me with her hands on her hips and everything. And I say, very confused, sorry? Karen says, "Don't you give me that attitude. Are you doing your job or busy talking to people's kids? Now find me this item, right now." At this point, it didn't occur to me that she thought I worked there. I was basically in my pajamas, my hair could use a shower, and I was getting anxious due to her raising her voice. And I say, "Sorry ma'am, I just moved here and I really don't know the store that well." Before I could get out another word, Karen says, "I don't care. That's it. I'm so sick of bratty girls being lazy and rude. I want to speak to your manager right now." At this point, I'm getting really panicky. And that's when Karen notices my arm and says, "What kind of shop employs freaks like you?" She then grabs my arm and lifts it up and says, "Look at that. How disgusting. Why do you have so many scars on your arms? I don't want some psycho around my child." By this point, I was shaking, in absolute panic, on the verge of tears, and I'm not able to utter a single word. The manager heard the screaming, thankfully, and he came to see what was happening. The manager asked, "Excuse me, what's going on here? Is there a problem?" Karen says, "Your employee attacked me. That's the problem. When I asked her to help me, I want her fired and arrested." I do want to note that at this point, she's still not letting me go, and she's pulling me by my arm. I say to her, "Please let me go." The manager also says, "Please let her go, or I have to call the police." And Karen screams, "No. I don't want some insane freak running around my child." The rest is gone for me because I had a blackout. Next thing I know, Karen's getting dragged away by the police, and I'm sitting in an office with the saint of a manager who had given me his jacket at some point. The kid did come up to me before his father picked him up, and he said sorry for his mother. He's such a sweet boy, really. The police asked me if I wanted to press charges against her, but at the time, I was scared, and I just wanted to go home. The lady was banned from the shop for life. That's it. I have no clue what the heck was wrong with that woman, but it never happened to me before, and I hope it never happens again. I do feel sorry for the boy though, he was such a sweet child, really. Yeah guys, I think that woman needs to take a good look at herself before she calls others psycho just for having scars on their arms. Like, what the heck? Like, lady, clearly you're the one overreacting over grocery items and attacking people. Maybe you shouldn't be calling others psycho. So this happened today while I was at work, and I decided to let you guys know about it. I'm a cop, and I was mistaken for a paramedic. I do have my basic first aid, and I have a defib in my cruiser, but that's it. Often, cops and paramedics get called to the same call, even if technically it's purely medical, and there's nothing job-specific for me to do that paramedics can't do. Often, I'll hang out for a little while longer after it's been determined that I'm not really needed, just in case the paramedics change their mind due to the patient getting violent or something. Of note, we have similar uniforms, but I have a red stripe down my pants and I carry a gun. And I do have the word police in huge letters on my back and the front of my vest, while paramedics have the word paramedic written on them. If you're literate and you know paramedics don't carry guns, you can tell the difference. Also, if a cop tells you that they're not a paramedic, that should be a strong hint too. Today, I was on scene when a kid starts having some sort of medical emergency where he couldn't breathe properly. So the paramedics show up, lights and sirens and all, and get him into the back of their ambulance. They left the lights on as they're blocking a lane. Once they get the kid inside the ambulance, I'm standing outside waiting for them to head off. My cruiser was parked a couple of meters from where I was standing as well. That's when a lady comes up to me and goes, "You need to turn off those lights." And I reply with, "These aren't my lights, they're paramedics, and they're a little busy right now, probably saving a life." The Karen replies with, "Well, those lights can cause a seizure. Do you want me to have a seizure? How dare you put people in danger like that? That's so irresponsible." I reply, "Well, I'm not a paramedic, I'm a cop, so they're not mine." I then gesture to my vest, which says in huge white letters on navy blue the word police. I looked around, and the kid's family was standing on the other side of the ambulance and were basically the only other people there. A few people in the area were paying no mind to us at all, and the lady herself was definitely not having a seizure, in my non-medically professional medical opinion. I say to the woman, "Look, the lights are on for a reason. It's for driver safety to alert drivers that there's an ambulance in the middle of the road. You aren't having a seizure, and neither's anyone else, so if you don't mind, please move along." I do hate crowding at scenes, and some of this kid's family was close by, and they did not need a random stranger causing commotion and adding more stress to an already stressful situation. Karen replies, "I can't believe how rude you are. I'm gonna complain to your boss and get you fired." I say to her, "You can definitely tell my boss that I didn't turn off ambulance lights. My badge number is so and so. If the lights are pissing you off so much, you're welcome to leave. You're in a public area free for people to come and go in." The woman screams unbelievable before she stomps off. After that, it was good. I haven't yet received a complaint, probably because I'm not a paramedic. Guys, I just want to say that it makes me so mad when Karens go out of their way to complain about emergency vehicles. Like, someone's obviously having a medical emergency and this woman is worried about lights? And it's not the first post I've read where Karens complain about flashing lights on emergency vehicles. Like, they have their lights flashing for a reason, Karen. So do like OP said and just walk away. You don't have to stick around. Last weekend, it was very warm in this part of the country. I was wearing a tank top and some jean shorts, so I had a lot of skin showing. Nothing indecent though, just bare arms and legs. And I might have also had some cleavage showing. My husband and I were going to have a barbecue for some friends of his, so I went down to the grocery store to pick up a few final items. While I'm looking at the beans, trying to decide how much we need, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and I come face to face with this older lady who was definitely overdressed for the weather. I ask politely, "May I help you?" And she replies, "Don't you think you're dressed a little inappropriately for this job?" I was confused, so I replied, "Well, yes, but I'm not at my job right now. I work at a hospital as a lab technician." The woman scoffs and says, "Well, we'll see what Dave has to say about this." Dave is apparently a manager and a friend of hers, so she races off to find him. And I'm just looking at beans, still trying to figure out how much we need. Just as I put a couple of cans into my basket, the lady comes back down the aisle with who I assume is Dave. wearing a manager-type apron. The woman starts pointing at me saying, "Do you let your employees wear things like that? It's shameful, it's disgusting." Dave looks at me and starts to look at me like he knows me, and then shakes his head and tells the lady she doesn't work here. The lady looks at me and tells Dave, of course she works here. I've seen her stocking the shelves and she works at the register. It's absolutely shameful that you allow her to wear that on the floor. Dave looks at me again, and then, as if a light bulb goes off in his head, he takes out his walkie-talkie and calls for someone named Linda to report to whatever aisle we're on. Meanwhile, the lady's still berating him for what I'm wearing. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, I'm just showing a lot of skin for it being such a hot day. That's when Linda comes into the aisle, and I was shocked. She looked exactly like me when I was back in high school. It was like looking 10 years back in time, and I'm sure for her, she got a glimpse of what she would look like 10 years from now. Linda walks up to us asking what's up, and the lady quietly says, "My mistake." And she starts walking back down the aisle, but she had to get one last jab in. She turns around, looks me straight in the eyes and says, "Do you actually go out in public like that? That's wrong, tempting men with your nearly naked body." After she was gone, Dave had me and Linda pose together for a picture. He was also astonished at how close we looked to each other. So that was actually pretty funny, guys. So Karen wasn't totally wrong about OP working there and dressing like that. Some people, though, complain about anything and everything. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of r/IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed yesterday's episode on the channel, it's an r/entitled People episode, your favorite subreddit, where a Karen decides to call 911 on OP because OP doesn't invite her son to their house party. Ain't that something? Go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.